Hello viewers, and welcome to the round number 3 of the Targa series. This is the Zolder 300 kilometers. My name is Rob Sutherland, and our other commentator, Dan Blake, is currently caught in traffic of the internet variety, so he will be along at some stage, but until then we're watching just one car running around, I think, and then we'll start a parade lap. The drivers are just having a drivers meeting, and essentially what goes on here is the series director, Jacob Desmarais, pretty much shouts at everyone and tells them not to crash in turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 30 cars split between 3 categories. C1 are the nice little Riley Daytona prototypes, C2 are the lovely Ford GTs, and C3 the brand new Cadillacs. Right, now, okay, so the circuit is a very, very new circuit to iRacing, Zolder. It's amazing. And it gives us the opportunity to watch loads of cars hop over loads of curbs, because there's some really, really high curbs here. So we should be able to see some good racing. The two C2 and C3 classes are all very, very close together in terms of qualification. But another new feature of iRacing is that no longer will you find people starting in amongst other drivers' classes. They're all done in their own classes. So just to take you through the grid, Russell KO is on pole with a 123.6, followed by Sander van der Peer, and on the second row Sasha Krager, third position. Fourth is Jason Sully. On the third row Matthew Lab, and joined by John Paquin. Then seventh position Ralph Gutlots, followed by Michael Schneider. Ninth position Chuck Johnson. 10th is Tim Martins. 11th is Jacob Desmarais. Who I was told wasn't racing, so that will go straight on to the C2 grid, and in pole position for C2 is Rupert Terkiller. Second position is Eric Vadorf. Third, Eduardo Prado. Fourth is Thomas Stockman. Fifth position, Corey Davis. Sixth is Randy Chenalf, followed by Jeffrey Tange. Jarrett Lawson, the MX-5 racer, is in 19th place overall. 20th place overall is Florin Utz, followed by Sean Mayer. 22nd position is Patrice Languette. Onto the Cadillacs now, and the prize of the field really is Dylan Sharman, who's lapping in 1 minute 28, which is pretty much what the fastest 4 GTs are running in, so he's going to be in amongst it all. His second place in C3, Anders Dahl, and the 25th overall, Valerie Chieti. 26th is Mark Mucky. 27th is Talkford Racing, Stefan Coppens. 28th is John Curran. 29th, Nicholas Randolph. 30th is Egil Sandfeld, and 31st position, Jerry Daniels. So we're all on the start-finish straight now. And looks like we're all in behind the pace car. Okay, so we're going to run now the round. This is the first corner, and for the C2 and C3, really the first 4 corners are the tricky ones, because they're the ones you have to get one line really set up for corners 2 and 3. And just the outside of the corner, there's some really, really high curves, and they can, what we call in the business is meatball certain cars. And what meatball basically means is your car needs repair, come to the pits straight away. Now, the 4 GTs are alright, because it takes a lot to damage those. However, the Rileys and the Caddies, because of their slightly space-restrained nature, these guys get meatballed quite a lot. So you'll be hearing a lot of meatballing over the next couple of hours, and just all of you know, means that that car is stuffed. So we might see some 4 GTs finish very, very strongly at the end of the 2 hours, because they seem to be the most survivable ones, even though they can't really get their pace down. Fastest lap of the day, 1 minute 23.6. Fastest lap for 4 GTs, 1 minute 28.0. Fastest lap of the Cadillacs, 1 minute 28.850. So we're running down now to the second of the chicanes, and this is just coming down a Butte corner, and this is the Jules Villeneuve chicane. And this is hell, because especially in these little Cadillacs, especially in these Rileys, you'll just be flicking left, right, unseen apexes, and you'll just be trying to hold on to the rear of that car and not have it kick out too much, because you can lose a lot of time coming down a right, which I believe, and my Belgium's not the best, is turn to Sutherland, I think it is. Feel free to tell me differently. And we come all the way down now to probably the biggest braking zone, because you go into a right-hander, and this is at first, second gear for most of the cars. It is quite slippery. Okay, so they will port into grid pace formation now. I think Roop is going to hold up the 4GTs slightly, so there's not a crumpled start, because they do go up now into the Jackie X chicane, which is a slightly uphill job, and they are going to come out of the last corner now, get up to speed. It's quite slippery, so you might see some slip around. Green flag has gone, and it's the start of the 2 hours, the Zolder 300k. No real dramas with the corners, and 4GTs are through as well. The Cadillacs are getting bunched up, ready to go over the line. And Russell Cow just leads out the Rileys now through.
There's some drama in the first corner, I'm afraid to report, Rob, with some 4GTs and some Cadillacs, I believe. So during the first corner there has been a bit of trouble. There is a 4GT and some Cadillacs involved there.
Ah, well, welcome, mistake. Nice.
Thank you very much.
Up there. And welcome to Zolder.
Thank you, I'm looking forward to this. First time I've seen this new track in action, so hopefully it will be a good race for us. But up front is Russell Cow leading, and he's been leading from the start. And I noticed at the start order the cars weren't actually are they meant to be single file, or are they meant to be side by side? Because there weren't a lot of side by side at the front from what I could see.
They were told us to form up, however it's quite a short little blast from the chicane, so it's quite hard to do that for these guys. All I know, the first 3 classes were told to drop back a little bit to give each other room, to give each other an individual start.
Okay, so try and find out which were the cars which were involved in the incident, but there's some quite good battling going through the Cadillac field. At the moment I'm looking at Eagle Santat there, but that is still another problem for the DP field to the Cadillac, and I think Jason Scully is going to get without losing any positions there as well. Yes, he has. He's still in fact, he's lost 1 position to Matteo Labi, but Jason Scully down to 4th position.
Okay, so this is the joy of the Targa. It's not just endurance, it's not just a 2-hour race here, it's basically a 2-hour race of an absolutely manic combination. So we've got cars that are all in amongst each other, quite a narrow, short little circuit with their great meatball potential, so we're going to see a lot of this. It's all about surviving.
Yeah, indeed, it is going to be about survival as these DPs come flying through now, down to Stefan Coppins being lapped by our race leader Sasha Krieger when it turns. Oh, that is so close. Sander van der Peer goes alongside him. He doesn't want to lose time, but at the same time, you've got to think maybe some of these drivers may think, is it worth losing just a couple of seconds now rather than putting a chance of me losing my car?
Well, that's the competitive nature of the drivers, I guess, isn't it? All drivers just want to go in there and absolutely give it 110%. But sometimes, and this is why drivers like Corey Davies are doing so well, is they can drive at about 90% all the way around, keep it nice and steady, and just not take us too many risks. And they all bring their car home all the time. They get up the points, they get the prizes, and they go home and get the women, I guess.
Van Dijk gained a lot of time now through the last corner of the Jackie X curve because Krieger had some Cadillac trouble. So, oh, it's gone off to the gravel again. It's that when turn 1 comes back on the track and he nearly hits the car of Matteo Labi, but turn 1 once again has proved to be a spot of contention there for Sander van der Peer. Now he's going to be under pressure from Matteo Labi. He was very lucky not to lose a 2nd place, but he was all the time he gained on Sasha Krieger he's lost just by that 1 mistake.
When all this crazy stuff has stopped happening, we'll get down to some sort of semblance of order, and we'll give you guys a little rundown on who's doing what.
Yeah,
but Jeffrey Tanger retires.
Jeffrey Tanger, yeah, he's out of the race. So, what was Jeffrey Tanger? He was driving in one of the 4GTs, and he's decided to call it a day. We haven't looked at the battle for the 4GT lead for a while, so I'm going to 66 was black flagged So who is number 66? That's Anders Dahl, who's been. Is it? No, it's
Well, I
not.
think
It's not.
it
It's
was
not
Ross, wasn't it?
Anders.
Was the leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy when
It's
he had
the
basically came over corner number 1. Anders Dahl was just on the inside. He just tried to come out and he just lit up the rear wheel, turned right into Anders, took them both off. So it's got a black flag for that.
black flag for Russell Cowell. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was a steward's investigation, which has come through. I'm sorry I read that wrong, but yeah, it's Russell Cowell who's being black flagged from the C1 class. So that's his day over.
To my knowledge, we only have 10 DPs still running.
Jack Johnson from the P field is running, but he's running 2 laps down at the moment in the number 87 car. So he's had some problems in the race so far. But he's down 26th overall, but he's 2 laps down on our race leaders.
Alright, so the big question is who to watch.
In the Cadillac field, got Dylan Sharman leading that one from Mark Muckey in second, and he said Stefan Coppins was up for maybe a good result today, and Stefan Coppins currently running third in the Glac class.
Alright, okay, we're going to the Ford GT field, and I think, and that's the number 25 car of Roop Turco, just leading at the minute with Eduardo Prada behind him. Just getting in amongst the lappy traffic at the minute, and he's got a nice little Riley Daytona prototype behind him.
That's interesting, isn't it? It's kicked up, but these 4 GTs have been together right from the start of the race, so it's going to be making a move down. Is that the DP making the move, or is it? Yeah, it's the DP making the move down. Oh, there's contact. Oh, was there contact there? The DP
No,
seemed to
I think
swerve.
he hit the curbs, didn't he? That was the Riley of Tim Martin's there, just hit the curbs, and seriously, they throw you off on this circuit. They are so high.
Sorry about that. I thought there may have contact from the way the car just swerved, but the curbs of Zolder are causing all sorts of problems, and in fact that is a battle for position, because Tim Martin is running behind Prado and Tequila in the overall scoring, so that's the 8th, 9th and 10th place battle. You think that Tim Martin's in his DP should be able to get past these two, but he's proving it's not as easy as it may seem.
Nothing about Targa Series is easy. I think we've seen that. It's just, when this stuff's happening, we're thinking, God, we've got to get a replay to you guys, but there's just so much going on. There's so many incidents, so many off tracks. It's so easy to get an off track on this as well. Just when you just run a little bit wide, or you just hit one of the curbs.
Indeed, the battle for second place is hotting up because Matteo Lebe has stayed right on the back of Sander van der Perre following his off-track excursion in turn 1, which cost him time, and he's not been able to pull it away. So the battle for second place overall, and then second in the DP class, they are literally near enough together as they come across the line to start the race now. Well, not start the race now. Start the lap now, which they're coming on to now, which is the end of lap 14. So we're coming on to lap 15. And the winner of the 2011 Targa Virginia, which was the biggest race last year, was in fact Matteo Lebe. So he's got previous of winning these big races, so be interesting to see if he can make it 2 big races in the space of 2 seasons.
Yeah, and he's in a pretty good place at the moment. He's just hunting down Sander. He may not want to put that much pressure under him. He's just trying to get past that Cadillac at the minute, and that's the number 9 Cadillac.
Cadillac moved well out of the way. He didn't want anything to do with that. I think he's probably seen what's happened earlier in the race with some of his compatriots. Back to that Ford GT battle, and it's actually dragged out a bit. Roop Tequila is, for the first time in this race, actually got a bit of space between him and Eduardo Prado, as Tim Martin's gone past Eduardo. So there's been a bit of a loss to time there for Eduardo on Roop Tequila that last lap.
Well, Labe star encrusted Riley now is just about half a second away from Sander for second position. A little bit of a twitch as he comes out of the last chicane over the start finish. Start of his lap number 16, and as I said earlier, 75 laps I reckon.
Still got a long way to go then, so be interesting to see with the pit stops and that, but the Cadillac's in front of them as well. There's another one. Is that number? Is that? It looks like the number. Can't actually see a number on that, but it's a Cadillac as they come down the long straight. They're both going to get past him before the chicane.
I think that was Dylan Sharman actually. He's actually leading the Cadillacs as well. We're watching on board now, Matthew Lab, and you can just see how much this Riley's moving. You can see how accurate he is with those curbs. You can see exactly these laser scan tracks, how much they actually leap out of the ground as well. And also, we've not mentioned this yet, the shadows as well, under all the trees. And a lot of people are actually using these shadows because obviously they don't move like they would do maybe in real life because the sun is static where it is. A lot of people do use these shadows as their brake markers.
Very interesting stuff, but the battle for second. Oh, someone's gone wide. He's gone well
That's
wide.
Matthew Labbe went long, misses brake marker, missed one of those branches.
Very nearly hit the wall, so he did well to keep it out of the wall. And Matteo Labbe, he's not going to lose a position there to Jason Scully, who made a mistake earlier in the race, but he's going to bring Scully right back into contention again. So this Targa race just seems to provide entertainment after entertainment. You don't know where to look at the moment, and it's really good racing.
And he rejoined safe. I mean, the Sim Gear sponsored car of Dylan Sharman, who's the Aussie, and I will say now, it is about 5 AM in Australia for Dylan Sharman. That's unbelievable. He is absolutely. It's going to be about sort of 6, 7 AM by the time he finishes his race. And he said earlier, he said he ain't going to go back to sleep. And I'm not surprised because his adrenaline, especially driving that Cadillac round, will absolutely be pumping by the time he finishes.
Indeed, Dylan Sharman, one of the better drivers from the Australian scene. At 5 in the morning. Sure, he's going to be looking forward to a bit of sleep after this one. But as you said, the adrenaline will be pumping. Driving that Cadillac. I've driven the Cadillac myself a few times, and it's definitely one of the more enjoyable cars to drive on the service for sure.
Yeah, and he's near to an alien as you're going to find today on this circuit circulating. So he's going to do an absolutely fantastic job, and that's probably why he's in amongst all the Ford GT still.
Yeah, so if he was racing for Ford GTs, he'd actually be racing in 7th place at the moment. The next Ford GT in front of him is the one that's in front of him on track at the moment, which is number 50 of Randolph Chenoweth, and that is for 14th position overall.
Yeah, that's Randy Chenoweth as well. He's another strong driver in this championship, and he's just got a nice little Celine liveried Ford GT.
Speaking of the Ford GT, then we'll look back out front, and Eduardo Prado, after losing a bit of time, seems to be catching it back up again to Tequila, just a little bit. It's a bit closer than they were before, so might have to keep that going as we're looking at the number 5 car of Eduardo Prado. As he comes
yellow
down.
back-live car. And 8 sits down the road behind him is Thomas Stotmans. And if some of you guys are watching on the stream, watching from certain angles, and Thomas supplied GlacierTV with those angles. So thank you very much, Thomas.
He's not alone on the cut. He's got Eric Valdorf about 2 seconds behind him as well. So be interesting to see what happens in that little battle for what is his 3rd in the GT class. So that is a podium position those two will be fighting for. And then 5 seconds down the road from them is Corey Davis. He's been overtaken by our 2 leaders, Sasha Krieger and Sander van der Perre, have got back together again because they were separated, but they're back together now and they're coming through the traffic, and there's a Ford GT in front of them that's gone into the pits. I think that's one of the is it Eric Vidorf? I think Eric Vidorf is coming down the pit lanes from the Ford GTs.
Okay, Craig's last lap was 126.5, which is what he's mapping out really. Or 126.4 is he just crossed the line, so he's doing alright. But he did do a 127.2, and that was what allowed the 2nd place car of Sander van der Perre to catch him up just a little bit. They are 0.7 seconds away from each other.
It's been reported that the number 19 of Tim Martin has been off the track again. He's running 8th in the DP class. He's having quite an eventful race so far. We've only been running for about 28, 29 minutes. And he's already been off track at least 2 times. And he's running 8th at the moment in the DP class.
Okay, so as we loosely have a fight for the lead on of the race, we're going to just keep an eye now on Sander van der Perre again. He's opened up a 5 second, or just under 5 seconds from Matthew Labbe, 3rd place. That's mainly down to the little off-track excursion from Matthew. And Matthew's still got behind him, he's still got Dylan Sharman, so Sharman's doing an absolutely epic job keeping with him.
And Sharman's been involved in a bit of contact. I hear that Michael Schneider, who's currently running 6th in the DP class, has had contact with Dylan Sharman. I'm gonna have a look back at that and see what's happened. But apparently there's been contact between those two.
Okay, so the commentators then. So that's why he's there or thereabouts. Tim Martin tumbling down. He's just rolling into pit lane, pulling wildly to the right as he comes into the pit lane. And Florian Utz is retired as well.
Looking at this battle for the lead again, Sasha Krieger and Sander van der Perre still quite close together, and Matteo Labe made that mistake and he's not been to catch them up much. He's trying his hardest, as there's dust kicked up in front of him again, and there's no Cadillac as well, which is may have to they've got to negotiate. Yeah, he's negotiated the Cadillac as they come into the turn, so Matteo Lauber is going to try and catch them back up, but it'd be interesting to see if he can actually do it or not.
And Roop is just been caught up by a back marker. I think we're going to be watching car number 25 of Roop now, as very, very close. Eduardo Prado got right up behind him.
Yeah, and that's a battle for the Ford GT lead, and they're actually running 8th and 9th.
In fact, no, I tell a lie, actually. It looks like Roop's just caught out a little bit of lead, and he's just been lapped by Sasha Krieger, the leader, as well. So, got my cars confused there, because there is a yellow car hovering behind Roop, and I did just naturally believe that it was Eduardo.
Roop hasn't actually been lapped yet. They're on the same lap. That is the yellow car you saw is Eduardo Prado. So he's about a second behind him. But this lap, I think they will be lapped by our race leader Sasha Krieger.
I think you're right. I'm getting all my cars confused here. They kind of look the same as they just flick past me.
There's quite a few cars coming up in front of the leaders now. I can see about 4 or 5. A mixture of Cadillacs and Ford GTs, so that could be quite interesting to watch over the space of the next lap or so, as Sasha Krieger comes down now towards the Villeneuve chicane here at Zolder. First one they got to negotiate is that Stefan Coppins. It looks like Stefan Coppins in the red and black car.
Yeah, the camera currently is still on Eduardo Prado, and he's catching up Egil Sandfield in his livery Cadillac. And just moves to one side, lets him past.
The next car that will be coming past Eduardo Prado, number 5, probably will be our race leaders as they come in now into the last corner, the Jackie X corner. And as Eduardo Prado comes across the line, he's lost a bit of time to Rupe on that lap as well. And there's Michael Schneider in the pit. No, he's not in the pits. He's Michael Schneider has lost time. He's now down to 9th position. So Rupe Tequila and Eduardo Prado are now running 7th and 8th overall, but they're 2 leaders in the Ford GT class, with Thomas Stockman running in 3rd place in that class.
Oh, Egil Sandfield just got hit by the leader, Sasha Krieger, coming through corner number 2. And it was nothing Egil could really do. He stuck to the outside of the line, and simply Egil just washed out. A bit of understeer, smacked into the side of it now. And so the 33 car of Sasha Krieger is limping with damage, but he's also pushing very, very hard.
And there's also a retirement there for, Jerry Daniels has retired from the race, and the reason that Michael Schneider's dropped down is because he's had a pit stop, so it's a pit stop for the number 24 of Michael Schneider. Be interesting to see if the damage to Krieger is going to affect him in the getting the battle with Sander van der Perre, because they're coming up now to more Ford GTs and Cadillacs, so as they're coming down to the final part of the lap, they'll now be coming up down towards, they come to the Rock and Rinse kink, coming up towards the Jackie X corner. It's still the number 33 of Krieger in the lead with Sander van der Perre 2nd.
Well, I'm glad you all said that. This guy, he can't actually let up at the minute because he's pushing really, really hard to get by these back markers. You actually really can't get out of the way because it's It's a really narrow circuit at some places around here. It can't let up because he's got Sander behind him. Sander's lapping fast, but he's pushing really hard. And Sasha's got a little bit of damage on him as well. So this might be decided in the first pit stops. We know they're going to do at least 2 pit stops. But the moment Sasha comes into the pits, he's got a little bit more damage on him as well. He's going to have required repairs, so that's going to keep him a hell of a long time in there.
And Sasha had a bit of trouble there going past, I think that was Eduardo Prado. It was Eduardo Prado, the second place man in the 4 GTs. And Sander van der Peer, is he having an easier task to get past him? Yes, he's gone past him for the corner, but Sasha Krieger was held up a bit there. And also it's held up Eduardo Prado from Rupert Tequila, who's now pulled a bit more of a gap from what was there before. So Rupert Tequila is probably another man who's going to be quite happy that these DPs are coming through, because it's giving them an even bigger gap than what it was before.
Yeah, so we got leader on leader action here. Both classes, as you can see momentarily on the camera, absolutely going it for it. Hell for 11 hours. They're catching up with Rupert. We're on Twitter today. We're on there at GlacierTV, just to change the tone slightly a little bit. And we're also on hashtag Targa. If any of you guys watching want to just send us some feedback, tell us how it's going on. If you're watching anyone in particular, let us know. We'll do some way of a shout out or get a message through them, like drive faster. Crossing the line now for the start of the 24th lap is your leader, kind of 33, Sasha Krieger.
I'll tell you someone who's on the move, it's Mattia Leiber. He's got the gap down to 1.9 seconds between him and our 2 leaders. So he went off early in the race, but he's come back now with some vengeance. And we're now going to have a bit of a 3-way battle for the lead, I think, in the near future. So great driving in these last 2 laps and through the traffic by Mattia Leiber. Last time I looked, he was 6 seconds behind. And now the gap between him and the leader is 1.9 seconds, and you can see them both in his windshield.
It's the art of traffic density. Sometimes you just get caught with too many people in one space, and it really holds you up. Matteo would have had that spread out. All those cars would have just distanced themselves a little bit. All those 4 GTs, they wouldn't have like a couple of DPs around them, so they wouldn't be really slowing them up. So it's easier to.
Contact! There's contact with the leader again. And he's now lost the lead to Sander van der Peer. It's the number 16 he's collided with, and that is Valerio Chieti, who's running second in the Cadillac class. And Sasha Krieger, in his rush to get past the Cadillac, has hit him. And that's the second time in this race that Sasha Krieger's had contact with a slower car. I wonder what the race stewards are going to be thinking about that.
Well, I noticed, and Matteo Levy's got Baus as well, so that pushing from Matthew's done him absolute wonders now. He's now up in 2nd place and charging behind the leader, Sander van der Peer.
Sasha Krieger has been warned by our race director about that incident as well, so he's going to have to be watching it very carefully for the rest of the line. He's trailing a thin line now.
Yeah, not only treading a thin line, but his car's getting smaller and smaller every lap.
That can't be good for the aerodynamics either. And also, when he comes into the pit stop, he's now almost certainly going to have the required damage to be fixed. So, in the long run, I don't think it's going to do him much favours. And also, another car that's coming through is Jason Scully. We haven't talked about him for a while either in the number 55 car. He's coming up. He's now only 3.8 seconds behind the leader. So, the traffic is really starting to push this field up together again.
Randy Chenoweth has said sorry, so something's happened to Randy. He's just coming into pits now, followed by John Cronin, and Randy doesn't say sorry unless something really bad happens. So his car's all bent up now, so I wonder who he hit.
Preston, we'll have to have a little look back and see if we can find the incident involving the car of Randy Chenoweth. We'll have a look back now, see if there's any.
Eduardo Prado has left the pits. Right into the apex of turn number 2. It's such a horrible exit of this pits, and I think he's just come out in 8th position overall, I think. We'll see where he settles down. It looks like Randy locked up and hit someone. We're just trying to find out who he hit.
There's one from the Randy has sneezed and lost control of his car, and the car he hit was the number 12 with John Kuhneman.
Ah, the gentleman following into the pits, and that was brought to us by a lovely little spot of Rob Cuss, who's who's doing a very overworked job today.
Oh, indeed, very much thank you, Rob, and yeah, it's quite a lot of work for him to do today with this Targa race being so dramatic. But at the moment, Sander van der Peer leads in the DP class, and Matteo Leiber is 2nd, Sasha Krieger is running 3rd, but Jason Scully 4th, John Paquin 5th, Ralph Genslow 6th, 7th is Michael Schneider, 8th is Chuck Johnson, 9th Tim Martins, and 10th in the DP field and Akan Black Flag is Russell Cow. And in the 4 GTs, you've got Root Tequila in the lead of that one, with Thomas Stockman 2nd, Corey Davis 3rd, Eduardo Prado is 4th, Randolph Chenoweth 5th, Eric Vidov 6th, Patrice Langlet 7th, Sean Meyer is in 8th place. We've been told that Corey Davis is coming into the pits, that's the 4 GT driver. And in the Cadillac field, we've got Mark Muckey in the lead there for 2nd. There's Nicholas Randolph, 3rd Igor Stanfield, and in 4th place is Dylan Sharman. Patrice Langlet is off the track, so that's the 4 GT of Patrice Langlet has gone off the track. It is very slow, in fact, in the 4 GT. Is that another one pass? And there's also a lot of gravel being kicked up in the Villeneuve corner. So I don't know if someone's gone across that, but the car of Patrice Langlet is certainly a lot slower than the other 4 GT just let past. So I'm not sure what's happened there. Stefan Coppens also off track on this lap as well. So, as we said before, it's all action here in the Targa series.
Well, Spotter tells us that Sandfield and Sharman are catching Nicholas Randolph quite quickly. They're all on the same lap. In fact, it's all the way 1st to 5th are all on the same lap in the caddies as well. So there's an opportunity for some drama there.
That's what we like to see. Also in the battle for the lead, Sander van der Peer. I saw some 4 GTs in the pits actually there, but Mark Muckey is in pits as well. That's the leader of the Cadillac field. And is that going to put Dylan Sharman into the leader class? I think you'll find that Dylan Sharman is now leading the Cadillac class again.
Right, okay, so we're going to have a stop here from the Cadillacs. What has actually happened in the Targa series? Each of the classes have had their fuel tanks limited. So the C1s, Riley's, 60% of their tank is the maximum fill. And that means that the C2s, Fords, 75%, and the C3s, which we've seen pit now, 80%. So we're going to see 3 pit stops from these Cadillacs. Normally, they would do 2 stops.
The car I saw going through straight onto the gravel in the chicane was in fact Dylan Sharman, so the leader of the Cadillacs has had a bit of a moment on that last lap, but he's managed to come about unscathed.
Okay, I think we got all 4 GTs have been lapped at least once. It's a nice little bit of information for you all.
And we're looking at Mattia Labe at the moment in 2nd place. The number 11 car, no, I beg your pardon, the number 30 car in 2nd place. They're now down towards down the hill from Boca down towards the Gilles Villeneuve corner. And Sander van der Peer has actually pulled out 1.7 second lead, but I don't think it's quite going to be that as they come through to the start of the next lap. I think he's caught them up a bit.
Sasha's last lap 1:27.4, Matthews was 1:26.6, so still absolutely charging.
Sander caught a bit of traffic there in the Boulderberg in a place he didn't want to, and it's cost him a bit of time there. So that's another thing about the traffic, and he's gone around another 4 GT there, very ragged, and the gap is certainly not going to be 1.7 now. It's going to be more like 0.7 as they come across the line now, maybe even less than that. Mattia Labe on one lap, he could look down the inside, but thinks better of it. It's now 0.1 of a second between the 2 leaders in this race. Sander van der Peer and Mattia Labe, and as we said earlier, Labe knows how to win in a big race situation. He won the 2011 Virginia race, so he knows how to win these big races, and he knows what's needed.
The man who also knows how to win a few races, Roop Tanaka, the Flying Finn, is coming in the pits. That's from the lead of the 4 GTs.
Also, the Cadillac are pitting, and Stefan Coppens, I think, has come out the pits along with. Yep, Stefan Coppens it is, been in the pits and now comes out again. He still looks like he's in 2nd position.
Yep, he's just chasing down Egil Sandfield at the minute. So the red TFR machine chasing down the. I can't really describe the colour of Egil's machine, but it's very nice and it's very quick as well.
DPs are in the pits on Paquin. We haven't spoken much about him recently. He's come in from 5th place. He's not. He probably got down to 6th place, but he won't lose much more than that, I wouldn't have thought.
No, and I think we know. Did you say earlier that we know John Paquin from the IndyCar League, the Afterburn IndyCar League? It's also run on
He's been
GlacierTV.
involved in the Indy cars. I know that he was meant to race in the Indy 500, but he didn't actually race in the end. So John Paquin has got single-seater experience in the Indy cars. He's a very established name over on that side of iRacing.
Well, I can tell you his history. He finished second in round 1 at the Targa. Round 2 he had an incident, and he's currently sitting third in points in the C1 class. So he's doing very, very well.
He's an all-round nice guy, and he's extremely quick in a DP as well. So be interesting to see if he can he's also one to help people as well. So John Paquin, one of the good guys of iRacing, you could say.
Yep, just don't ever you do curse him.
I'm very, very sorry. I should stop now.
He's got a Ferrari sign on the side of that car. Right, let's find some more action. We've got a 6-second spread between the first 3 cars.
Sasha Craig has slowed down. Our second place car has slowed down Sasha Craig, and just as we thought it was going to be a bit quieter for us in the commentary booth, something else major has happened, and I wonder what's happened with Sasha. It's not, surely he hasn't run out of fuel, but he's driving exceptionally slow.
Oh, he's got quite a lot of damaged car, and this circuit also is the absolute king of the slowdowns.
I think it's more than just a slowdown. He's very, very slow. There is a lot of damage on that car, but we know that indeed it is fuel. I wondered if it was fuel, but will he be able to get it back to the pits is the question. He's not got far to go now, but his game of fuel light roulette has ended very badly.
Yeah, and he's done alright. Well, I don't know actually. Will he get back in time? Will he have to pay someone for a push?
He'll have to get us all out in a hurry, but I don't know, he's getting closer and closer to the pits, but he seems to be getting slower and slower, unfortunately for him. I think he will just about make it, though. He's now
We've just seen Stefan Coppins coming to the pits just in front of him. I wonder if he broke the speed limit. And this is a novelty as well, Dan, because the race director has actually said slow car pit lane. And it looks like Sasha's actually going to reach.
Sasha is indeed going to get the pits, and the race director reminds me of the FIA World Endurance Championship. That's another series where they drivers know exactly what's going on in the cars through the radio, and also it's streamed out to the spectators trackside.
He's not made it, or has he?
Oh, it's very, very tight. He's coasting. I think he might just about make it. Depends where his pit box is. Very slow
as a side issue as well. I saw Spectainment retweet that the actual race director for the WEC sounds like a Bond villain. So hopefully Jacob doesn't sound like that.
I don't think he's a Bond villain type, but yeah, I know what you mean. I was at the actual World Endurance Championship race at Silverstone, and very distinctive voice. Jacob says he is the FIA. So hello, Jacob.
Well, Sasha Krieger, congratulations. He has made it back.
"27 seconds of damage repair for Sander van der Poel, our leader, who's also made a stop away from our attentions, where we were busy worrying about the tribulations of Sasha Krieger. So Sander van der Poel has made a stop, and in second place we have Jason Scully. Third place is Matteo Larbe. Fourth was Sasha Krieger, but I'm pretty sure he's going to lose that place to Ralph Guzzo, and John Paquin maybe even get up to fifth place as a result of the slow Sasha Krieger.
Well, slowly catch your monkey from Matthew Lau. He's now in the lead with a bit of breathing space as well. 8 seconds from Jason. All he needs to do now is make sure that no one catches him and he doesn't hit anyone else. And he's got an hour left. Exactly an hour left now of the race.
Michael Schneider is coming up to Eduardo Prado to try to take a position in the overall. Michael Schneider in the DP, that's the number 24 car, is catching up to the number 5 of Eduardo Prado as they come now to the Erst, which is the first corner here at Zolder, the one which caught a few drivers napping in the early stages of the race. We saw 2-3 cars going on there, as we now have 70 minutes left of this race, so we're just coming up to the halfway point now of what so far has been a very pulsating and thrilling race with us here on GlacierTV. And is Schneider going to try and make the move? He's trying to make it, but Prada shuts the door on him, and he's quite entitled to do this because they're fighting for position. But I think the DP in the end will get the position.
And that's a yellow pages DP as well, or it looks like it. Yeah, yellow pages DP from Michael Schneider. So what a great little paint job that is. And yeah, absolutely entitled to snap the door. Not only that, it's Schneider's responsibility to make sure he passes the slower classes safely, because he's right up behind the little red and black liveried car of Sean Mayer now.
And also, his position isn't too far away either, because the Ford GT leader, Rupe Tequila, will be his next one, and Rupe Tequila has got another DP coming up to lap him as well. So it's the car of Sasha Krieger. Yeah, it's Sasha Krieger down in 6th place, following his pit lane issues.
There was a spin. There was a spin, and that's Ralph Gatsu just through the chicane there, just lit it up, had a little spin, just dropped back. He's got back on safely with no damage, but I think we just saw that outside of camera.
That's the 4th place car then, Ralph Gatsu. So at the moment, we've raced now. This is going on to the 32nd lap, and we have Matteo Leiber, who has a lead for Jason Scully by 8.7 seconds. 3rd place is Sander van der Peer, who's 28 seconds back. 4th place is Ralph Goodso, 50.7, but the moment he's had has actually brought John Paquin, the nice guy of iRacing, as he's affectionately known, up to 4 seconds behind him. So it'd be interesting to see if John can catch up to Ralph and get that position. So that'd be for 4th place.
He's got to get Eric Vadoff out of the way first, because he's holding him up just a little bit. We've just come out of turn number 3 and number 4. He just got underneath him. Now he's stretching the lead again. So I think that's a pretty good fight to watch, actually. If we watch the 05 car of, sorry, the 31 car of John Paquin now, because he will catch up Ralph in the next few laps.
Indeed, it'd be interesting to see how he can see the traffic as well, with vast amounts of experiences on the Indy car as well. He'll know how to make a move stick and when not to go for a move. And also we got Eduardo Prado in the Ford GT battle catching up to Rupe Tequila again. Michael Schneider has actually passed Rupe, so he's now 7th overall as Michael Schneider in the Daytona prototype, with Rupe Tequila 8th overall and Eduardo Prado 9th overall and 2nd in the Ford GT class. In 3rd place in that GT battle is Eric Weidorf in the Ford GTs. 4th is Thomas Stockmans, and rounding out the top 5 for our Ford GT field is Corey Davis.
And Paquin and Gaffer, there's actually no gaps between them. There's about 3 seconds between them on track. There's no cars in between, and Ralph has got just a few more seconds to catch before he catches the Eduardo Prado battle. So this is a really, really good opportunity now for John to absolutely put the leather down, get as close as he can, and then just hope that those 4 GTs slow up Ralph.
Indeed, and Randolph Chenoweth unfortunately looks like he's retired from the race. He had damage earlier on. He had 12 minutes of repairs, but it was not enough to fix his race car. So unfortunately, that's a Ford GT, the number 50 of Randolph Chenoweth, calling it a day.
Okay, and talking about John, John's actually the Cadillac now that's closest to the Ralph Gutierrez car, the number 5 car now. So Ralph's just starting to catch a little bit of traffic. He's catch Sean Mayer, and John Paquin's coming right up behind him.
Indeed he has. He's caught him in a really bad place as Ralph. He's now going to try and get past him on the inside. It'd be interesting to see if he can... There's a Cadillac there as well, which is probably not what he wants to see. And the Ford GT's going to try and make it back on Ralph, but he's gone in behind him. And John Paquin must have a bit of a smile on his face seeing this, as he's definitely closing in on him very, very quickly.
And John Cronin just really had to watch his mirrors then, because...
Oh, contact there. A little bit of a tap there between the Cadillac and John Paquin. What Cadillac was that?
That Cadillac was Cronin, who we mentioned earlier, had the impact with Randy Chenoweth.
It allowed Ralph the chance to pull away a bit as well, because John Paquin's been held up. He's gone past a Ford GT, which is a good move there. So now he's got clear track and he's got Ralph in front of him. So be interesting to
morning.
I don't think I'd have done that performance at 5, 6 a.m. In fact, I was still out in town at 5 or 6 a.m. this morning, so that would have been quite interesting if I was racing at that time this morning, but I won't go any further into that.
You young alcoholic pups. You students don't know any time in the morning, do you?
No, well, one of the speeds about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so read into that what you will.
Right, okay, we have had some sound shenanigans, all back now. So you're watching GlacierTV, you're watching the Zolder 300km, hosted by the Targa series. My name is Rob Sutherland, and my main commentator sitting to the somewhere of me is Dan Blake.
Hello, and the battle for third is talking about in the Cadillacs between Nicholas Randolph and Igor Sandford is still going on, and not far behind. In fact, they've got quite a big gap between the next car in class for them, which is Stefan Coppins. So the third and fourth place car in the Cadillac class are close to lapping the fifth place car in that class. But at the moment, it's Nicholas Randolph and Igor Sandfield battling for third overall in the Cadillac class. And they've been very close for the past 2 or 3 laps. So it'd be interesting to see if Eagle can force Nicholas into a mistake, or if he can do it of his own making as such. As they come now into the first corner, this is the Erst, and coming up to turn 2, and Igor Sandfield is still right behind him as they come now through turn 2.
And you know what? I just saw out the corner of my eye, Eduardo Prado, who's getting closer and closer to the route, just came out of the last corner, which is for a 42 and the Cadillac. Actually, it's all about getting the power down right. And he was just lapping Valerio Chetti, and Valerio Chetti is quite a good, competent little driver actually, and he's very fair as well. But he just came back on the racing line at the wrong time. Eduardo wanted it, because really Eduardo just wanted to get the, there's fighting for positions and there's fighting for positions, because Eduardo is really, really close to the guy he's fighting with. So as far as Valerio there, I mean, you just got to get off the racing line, mate. Let him past.
For any new viewers, the way the point system works in Targa is the old 1980s Formula 1 point system, which I believe ended in 89, 90, something around there, where the leading...
Spin. Sorry, no, I'm going to interrupt. The leader, Matthew Labbe, just coming through at one of the chicanes, I think it was Jackie X actually. Looks like Dylan Sharman just spun right in front of him, shot right across in front of him, no damage. It's the number 30 car leading the race, Matthew Labbe, and the number 91 of Dylan Sharman leading the Cadillacs as well, so very close call for both guys there.
Very, very close call there. Both of them are leading their classes, as you said, so that could have been catastrophic for both classes. But as I was saying before, we've got a replay coming up, I think, of the number 91, which is Dylan Sharman, that incident between Sharman and Labbe. The system that they're using for Targa for points is the old Formula 1 circa, I think it's about 1989 and 1990, where you had 9 points for a win, 6 for second, third got you 4 points, fourth 3, fifth 2, and sixth place gives you 1 point. So these drivers will be fighting hard to try and get into the points even for some of the series based off the 1960s, 70s World Sports Car Championship. So Targa is coming back with the glory days of sports cars in the 60s and 70s. And the cars tracks are the vintage ones as well. So this is a bit of a historic championship, this one, with historic routes.
Right, okay, so if the viewers haven't seen it already, I'll give you a quick recap what happened to Dylan Sharman. Just coming down to the chicane, he threw himself in under braking and just went across those really, really high meat ball giving curbs, and you can't really see that apex, it's slightly dipped as well, so he hit that pushed him, that threw him long into the next right-hander or the next left-hander, just got his wheels on the grass, on the dirt, and that shot him straight across in front of Matthew.
Battle we were talking about earlier, Randolph and Sandfeld, they both had to let way to let Matteo Leiber come through, and I did the leader, and I did wonder maybe if Sandfeld would have a chance, and he might have one here, because Randolph was extremely loose coming off the last corner, which is Jackie X, and as they come down now into the first corner at Erst, will he maybe try and make a move? He was behind him, and he's gone to the back of him, they collided, and that is not what we wanted to see in a battle for third place in the Cadillac class, and they're both now stopped in the middle of the track, and Sandfeld's going to let Randolph go through, but yeah, there's a bit of contact there between the number 13 of Nicholas Randolph and the 86 of Igor Sandfeld. Sandfeld just seemed to get his braking point all wrong, and he hurtled into the back of them. It was racing incident there. There was no intention, you got to think, from him to do that, but it was a very, very inopportune movement to lose his braking point. He was just behind Randolph, but to be fair, the Igor Sandfeld car, the number 86, he did stop and he did not go until Nicholas Randolph went, so very sporting there from Igor Sandfeld.
Which is a good thing to see as well. And Egil now's all over the back of Randolph, and I wonder how much consideration given this time round.
And it's the leader, Matteo Labe, has spun again, and behind him he's got Jason Scully, and Labe seems to be having problems with the car. It seems there's to be damage on the front of it, and Jason Scully, who was 8.3 seconds behind, is now not 8.3 seconds behind, he's more like 1.3 behind. So there's been more drama for that number 30 car of Matteo Labe. Be interesting to see what happened there, but Jason Scully is now right behind our race leader. Gap is 1.5 seconds between the two of them. Following the battle there following the spin rather by Matteo Labe.
Right, we've got a few fights going on at the moment, but I'm going to keep an eye on the Nicholas Randolph Helga Sandfield fight, and you can keep an eye, as the viewers as well, on the fight between the leader, Scully, and Labe.
There's 3 battles on, because we got the Ford GT one as well, Rupe Tequila and Eduardo Prado, although Rupe seems to have pulled away a bit on the last few laps. And also, special mention here to Mark Mucky, who's running 2nd place in the Cadillac field. Hats off to him. He's driving his heart out there today. It's what we like to see in Targa. So, good mention there for Mark Mucky. He's currently running 2nd place in the Cadillac class. And there's a car spun at the last corner, Jackie X. Looks like a Ford GT. It's just getting back on the track now. It is... I can't get... It was a red and black... I'll just get that for you. Who was car which has spun? It was a Ford GT and it was... Reese Langlet? I think it may have been...
Yeah.
Langlet,
he had a very dented up car. Sean Mayer's in the pits as well, I've noticed.
Sean Mayer, so that's another one of the Ford GTs, and I'm coming up for a 2nd pit stop now, I think, for the Ford GTs.
Yeah, Langlet's having a bit of a hard time. That's corner number 1 he went off, he just went up really, really late.
Yeah, I saw that, so that's the last corner and the first corner he's had a bit of an off, so maybe it's tyres or something maybe causing him problems, or I don't know, but it's not been the best of laps of Patrice Langlet. He's currently running in 7th place in the Ford GT class, and if he wants to get in the points, he's got 4 laps to catch up on Sean Meyer.
Right, Jason Scully at the moment's just dropped off 2 and a bit seconds from Matthew Labe as well, getting a little bit held up by Eduardo Del Prado, just going under him into corner number 3. Eduardo gives him the time and space to do that, nice and clearly. And there's a 16 gap between Sander and Jason. Let's have a look at last lap, see how they're both doing pace-wise. And there's about a second and a bit. 126.1 Sander's doing to Jason Scully's 127.1. It's about a second faster at the time, so that might hot up in a few minutes' time.
Yeah, Sander the pair was one of the cars who was actually running. Well, he was in the first, he led for a bit, but he had problems with the pit stop. He had I think it was about 28 seconds of damage. There's definitely some damage he had before, and there's a car coming into the pits, and it's Eduardo Prado. So the battle for the Ford GT lead, looks like Eduardo Prado is going to take the first move there in the number 5 car.
Labe got a little bit loose. He's just coming to corner number 1 for the start of his 48th lap. Well, she knows, yeah, he's just literally... Oh, last corner, a bit of a flick. Yeah, no, he had a real trouble putting the power down on that last corner.
Jason Scully's got that down to 0.7 of a second, so the problems for Matteo Labe. He's gone through the gravel there, going in out of the turn onto the straight as well, so a bit ragged in the last 5-10 minutes or so for Matteo Labe. He's had a couple of moments, and there's a Cadillac as well off on the gravel on the inside of the track as well, I saw there.
That was John Cronin in the news again. And Dan, do you think now that Labe's done a couple of mistakes in the last lap or so, and just coming into the corner, a couple of corners back, Jason Sully just showed himself in the mirrors and went, yeah mate, you're messing up and I'm here getting closer?
Indeed, he's definitely getting very, very closer in the mirrors, and I've got to wonder if the mindset of Larbe is a lot different to what it was before, when he had nothing to worry about really, but some mistakes have crept in, a lack of concentration maybe, and it's proven very costly for him because Sander van der Poel is catching the two of them about a second a lap. So these two really, if they have any real aspirations of winning this race, they need to stop the errors, or especially in Mateo Laba's case, they need to get a bit of a move on, I think, because Sander van der Poel is coming for them both.
And I'll interpret just a little bit what we've seen on the camera there. They were both catching Targa, who the leader of the GTs. He saw they were back. The moment Matthew got alongside him, he just lifted off because he went, I ain't getting in the middle of that fight. He goes, he doesn't want to go for that corner with first place and second place either side of me. So he just lifted off and let Jason pass. Very, very good driving.
Yeah, indeed, very, very good driving. And speaking of good driving, it seems like the car of Matteo Larbe goes up now to lap the second place Cadillac of Mark Mucky, and it seems like Mucky's caught a lot up on Dylan Sharman over the last. Either Sharman's lost a lot of time, or he's lapped the number 6 car.
The number 6 car currently third position in C3 in points. He's absolutely early drive of the day for Mark Mucky, I reckon.
Yeah, I'd go with that as well. Mucky's had a very composed drive. I don't think I've seen him make a mistake yet, so that's he's done much better than some of the others who've been making little mistakes. So definitely, Mark Mucky is one of the drivers of the day for me so far as well.
A little bit of a gap now between... The gap last lap was 0.9 seconds between Matthew and Jason Sully. I've got a funny feeling it's going to stretch out a little bit more now. Just coming out of the last corner.
Yeah, that's a lot more than 0.9 now. I reckon that gap's about 2.5 seconds maybe even. As I come across, it's 1.9.
1.9.
So coming up
close.
Close but no cigar.
Well, 1.5 seconds off.
I shouldn't be saying close but no cigar, because any kids watching, smoking is not a very good habit. So there we are, giving a bit of...
Stick drinking.
Yeah, indeed. So we're getting a bit of advice for you. So you get everything on GlacierTV these days.
Our team director, one of the Penguin Army, is just telling me I'm absolutely massacring Rup's name. It's not for the first time. There's a gap of 6 now between 4th and 5th place. That's Ralph and John Paquin.
And the battle for 3rd place in the Cadillacs is hotting up again. Nicholas Randolph and Egil Sandfeld doing battle. There's the DP of Michael Schneider goes past them. There's a spin at Villeneuve as well. Which car's that? That's from our race director, Jacob Desmaris, saying that we've got a spin at Villeneuve, which is now clear. So be interesting to see who that was, but we've had a car spinning out of Villeneuve.
More serious need someone to shout in pink text to all the drivers what's going on.
The pink text does make it seem a lot more emphatic, I've got to say.
So I think we're going to be watching it on now, 3rd place in class between Nicholas Randolph and Egil Sandfield as well. These guys have been driving formation for the last few laps, very, very, very close.
Indeed, Egil got so close to Randolph at one point that they were both in turn 1 together after the contact, but they've managed to keep it up so far. And Scully had gone off on turn 1, so Jason Scully lost a bit of time to Matteo Larbe. He's gone off the track a bit at turn number 1.
But he was 1.4. He was 1.4 seconds, and I tell you what, his last lap before he went off was 1:25.8. So he was really, really pushing.
Yeah, he's lost a bit of time, but there's been a crash at turn number 3. We've been told as well. So turn number 3. Which turn is which one's that? That's the one just before the
Sean Mayer off.
Sean Mayer in the
number 45 Ford GT.
He's very, very slow coming through the turn number 4. And Sean Meyer, he's got about 3 laps on the next car, which is Patrice Langley in that class. He's also had a bit of a few little excursions off the field, off the track. Thinking football again, I shouldn't be doing that. But so Sean Meyer is currently actually in 6th place in that Ford GT class. So he'll be very, very predictable, hoping that he can get out before Patrice Langley comes past him.
Well, I think he's going to be lapping. He's going to be just limping back round the pits again. He's been caught by some fast cars. I tell you what, all that damage actually makes this Ford GT look better.
And coming up to now is that battle for third place in the Cadillacs, and he stays well out of the way with Nicholas Randolph and Igor Sandfeld. He doesn't want to get involved in their battle, as the Daytona prototype of Ralph Gutso is coming up there as well. And John Paquin, who we were talking about earlier, this is music for his ears if he can get past the traffic at the right time, which looks like he has. In fact, he's gone past the GT, the Ford GT. That's the slow one coming to the pits, I believe. And now he's coming down into the Jackie 8. So there's contact. Oh, that's not what we wanted to see, and it's given John Paquin a position.
That's Ralph as well, the 4th position.
Oh, that's taken a battle for the caddies away from us as well, unfortunately. And Randolph looks like he's steering maybe a bit bent there. I saw him wiggling it about a bit, and so unfortunately that's one of our better battles on the field, the one for third place. And Igor Sandford now finds his way through past Nicholas Randolph. It's probably not in the way he wanted to, and that all came from the Cadillac of Randolph losing the back end coming through the corner, and he had all those cars around him. And the main factor from that, apart from Igor Sandford, is John Paquin, who now moves up to 4th place overall. As far as the championship goes, that gives him another extra points. That's 3 points to Paquin, which will put him in on a tie with, at the moment, he's tying for the championship lead with Sasha Krieger in the DPs, who is also, he's in 6th place, he's getting one, oh, in fact he's not, that's my maths, that's why I got a D in GCSE maths, you see, simple equations, I get them wrong. Sasha Krieger has 10 points in the stand, and John Paquin has 9.
We've missed something, obviously I think we're in the second round of pit stops now for 4 GTs, and that's meant that Thomas Stockman's very briefly went up to 2nd position. He's just come out the pits. He's right behind Eric Vadorf as well, and he actually hit the arm car on the way out the pits as well. So it's something that can and does happen around here.
That pit lane exit is quite notorious, along with the entrance. It's probably one of the more harder pit lanes, definitely in World Motorsport.
Right, I think the number 84 car of Thomas Stockman's and the number 94 of Eric Vadorf are actually fighting for position now. Of course, one will be in a lot better tyres than the other, so I think that might be quite a good fight heating up.
Yes, it's Eric Vadorf at the moment, and there's a pits for Nicholas Randolph. So following the contact on the last lap, he's coming into the pit. So it'd be interesting to see if there has been any must have been some damage to that car. He's putting it down into pit lane. That, as we're now looking at the battle between Stockman's and Vadorf, and it's at the moment Stockman's who has the advantage, or is it in fact it's Vadorf, beg your pardon, Eric Vadorf, who is currently the leader of those two cars, and that's a battle for the 3rd place in class in the Ford GTs. Vadorf is 3rd, and Thomas Stockman's is 4th in the class, and they got quite a bit of a gap back to Corey Davis. It's probably about 5-6 seconds just as they come into the first corner. Davis comes out the last, so that's quite a good battle brewing actually for the last place on the podium. Potentially 3 cars there could be involved.
Information, Jason Sully 3.3 seconds behind Matthew Labbe now, both lapping low 126s. However, the visual gap does look a lot less than 3.3 seconds.
I would say that as well actually, Rob. I think Scully's probably quite down. There was a Cadillac, and I wonder if that caused a bit of problems for our race leader Matteo Labbe even, because as you said, that does not look like 3.3 seconds to me either. Sander van der Peer, he's caught up, his rate of catching them up has not been as quick as we thought it was. It was 18 seconds a few laps ago, and it's 16.1, but he's got 13 seconds between him and Jason Scully. So, depending on how much longer we have of this race, we may be able to catch him up, but I don't think he's catching him up quite quickly enough at the moment.
Stockman is past Eric Vadorf. I don't know if you caught that on camera or not. He overtook him at one of the chicanes, and I'm just going to work out now if Eric's done his 2nd pit stop yet.
So Thomas Stockman's is up to 3rd place in the Ford GT class, and how far is there between him and Eduardo Prado? It's quite a big gap, so unless there's any major, I don't think Rupert Tukila has made his 2nd pit stop yet.
No, don't think so. And Eric Vadorf also, unless it was lap 44, he made his pit stop. Yeah, he done. I think he made a pit in lap number 18, lap number 44.
So he's done his 2 stops. It'd be interesting to see once the pit stops have filtered out, if Eduardo Prado has managed to do enough to overtake Rupe Tequila, because he's actually he's been on the new tyres. It'd be interesting to see what effect they've had on this run for him.
Yeah, although saying that Rupe is just a absolutely amazingly quick driver as well, so it could just be, he could pretty much eliminate any sort of tyre wear just by the fact that the guy's got driving techers.
Indeed, that is a word which is very underused. Techers. I do like that one. So Rupe Tequila, and he has an alien with techers. That does actually have quite a ring to it.
Yeah, we'll trade like that and then print it on t-shirts and retire.
I am an alien, the back with checkers. Yeah, sounds good. Anyway,
so that visual reputation, first and second, is 2.15 seconds. I've just seen someone go long at the Jackie X chicane, and that was John Cronin.
John Cronin, whereas the going long is an American football term, so yeah, he's gone a bit long. Is he from America? That I will look through the list. Which driver was that you said was going long?
John Cronin. So I think he is actually. I think he's Florida, isn't he, John Cronin? Let me have a look. John Paquin's from Indiana. John Cronin from Ohio. Same as Nicholas Randolph. Sorry.
Ohio, yeah. So gone very, very long from Ohio to Zolder. And there's a car, a DP, which has gone off the track briefly. In fact, it's very slow on the inside. I'm looking at Jason Scully at the moment. It was a black car which was going quite slowly. Is that the car of... What's the black one? I think it was Ralph... No, it wasn't Ralph Gitso, but one of the DPs that seemed to be very slow coming out of the corner there.
Well, Ralph is the... it might be Schneider actually, he's one of the black DPs as well, so let's have a little look.
Michael Schneider, it was... Well, there's a black DP of Schneider as well.
No, that's Chuck Johnson behind him, and in front of him is...
I think it was Chuck Johnson, the slower DP. Yeah, it was Chuck Johnson, I believe. He's currently 3 laps down. He's 8th overall in the class.
A nice little three-way through at corner number 3 there. And let's see if any other barn doors. Actually, Jason Sully, who actually we've not mentioned, he is actually another Aussie as well. So it will be stupid o'clock in the morning for Jason. But he seems to be last, and he seems to be particularly awake. These Aussies are very strong. Jason Sully second in class, and Dylan Sharman first in class at the moment. So the Aussies have absolutely got it cooking at the minute.
Indeed, and also I think we're quite high on Pro Plus, but Jason Scully is catching up to Matteo Alabi. Definitely, it was 3.5 seconds a couple of laps ago. Now it's down to a second as they come down into the turn number 8, which is the Boulderberg corner down towards the Jochen Rindt curve, and this battle is for the lead as close as it has been for a long, long time. And the car who's lost time is Sander van der Peer. He's lost about 10 seconds away from us in the last couple of laps. He's lost 10 seconds because it was 13, now it's gone to 23. So I don't know what's happened there with Sander van der Peer, but Matteo Alabi and Jason Scully, there's now half a second between those two. So traffic seems to be a bit...
We've got an incident, sorry Dan, we've got an incident. Egil Sandfield and John Packman, the nice guy of iRacing, have come together.
Oh no, that's not what we want to see. What happened there?
I think that's the mystery we've got to find out for you viewers.
The curse of the commentator. So we were bigging up John Paquin earlier, saying it's a nice guy of iRacing, and as the saying goes, sometimes nice guys do finish last. Although John Paquin won't finish last with this race-ending collision, then it's very unfortunate for him.
Okay, I think he missed entry to the pits, which is quite easy to do around here because you are pretty much at maximum speed as you come in. It's not hard just to lock up and carry straight on in the wall. I can't actually see him at the moment. I don't know if he's getting a tow or if his race is over.
If that's the kid's race is over, then that could put Michael Schneider now into the points positions.
Well, Egil Sandfield, he was the other guy involved, if there was someone else involved as well. He doesn't seem that much beaten up.
Egil Sandfield, that is a 4th place runner. Leader
in the pit.
Leader is in the pits. So Matteo Labe has handed over the lead to Jason Scully, and this will be the first lap I think that Scully has led, and unfortunately John Paquin's race is over. He's gone out of the paddock onto his motorhome, and that is it. That is the end of John Paquin's race, unfortunately.
I think we're watching a bit of a replay now of the incident, and I'm afraid viewers, it might be quite a long one as well before the actual incident takes place. That's the curse of the software we have at our disposal, I'm afraid. Leader is just coming into the pits, and I can see in front of him as well, Ralph has left the pits for his second pit stop of the day. So congratulations, Jason Scully, you are in the lead of the race.
Yeah, Jason Scully leads. Australia is running mighty today at Zolder. We've got Jason Scully currently leading in the DPs, and then the Cadillac Dylan Sharman is still in the lead of that way. He's had a few scary, hairy moments, I would imagine, in that Cadillac today, but he's managed to keep calm, and he's leading that class. And Jason Scully, we haven't spoke much about him really, the Australian, but he's in the lead of this class. And for this race, he's not in the top 4 or 5 in the championship, I don't think. So this could be quite an unexpected podium position for Scully if he can carry it on. But at the moment, he's in the lead, but he hasn't made his pit stop. He's coming in now.
You have just massively cursed him. You do know that, don't you?
I know, but these Bristolian curses aren't that strong, I wouldn't have thought.
No. Right, so let's have a keep on the car number 30 then, Matthew Labbe as well, see where he comes out. See if Jason can stick in the lead.
Matteo Labbe now is currently coming out through the, coming up now, looks like turn number 8, yep, that's Boulderberg. He's coming now to the Jochen Rindt kink, which is a corner, which is, it's not really a corner as such, as I said, it's just a little bit of a kink, and then they go down the straight before braking for the final turn, which is the Jackie XS. And there's a Cadillac as well in front of Matteo Labbe. He's coming down the pit straight now. Where's Jason Scully? Is he coming out the pits yet? Jason Scully, will he do enough? Yep.
He's just past the green mark, which means he can actually put his foot down.
Now.
And, let me say this now, he will come out onto the racing line. The apex in the corner number 2.
Jason Scully has not taken the lead though. Matteo Labbe is still holding on to the lead, but there's not much of it now. It's about 2 seconds, I'd say, between the two of them. But Matteo Labbe's made the most of that, and he's extended his lead to what it was before the pit stops. Ever so slightly, but it's a definite gain for Matteo Labbe, who retakes the lead.
So fantastic entertainment on GlacierTV, some proper, I wouldn't say attempted undercut, I would say, but great, really sort of, is it going to happen or is it not? If they played it right, was the outlap really fast, and it's paid off for Matthew Labbe. 48 seconds down the road is Sander van der Peer, so he's had an absolute mare in the last sort of 10-15 minutes.
He had a pit stop, or was just, it might have had a pit stop, because I know the first 2 have been in, so that could explain some of it, but even still, 48 seconds back is still quite a margin.
Yeah, well he had a 35, which I think was the lap where he messed up, and then a 2:03 for his pit stop.
Go give you a rundown of the DP field. It's Matteo Labbe who takes the lead following Jason Scully's pit stop, which drops him down to 2nd. 3rd place we have Sandro Dantaper. 4th place is Ralph Gusso. 5th is Sasha Krieger, who earlier in the race had fuel problems when he was running near the front of the field, and then the final points position in 6th is Michael Schneider. 7th is Chuck Johnson, and those are the only 7 DPs I think who are still currently running, because we've lost number 31 John Paquin. We have also lost the number 19 of Tim Martins, and very early in the race we saw the black flag disqualification for the number 63 of Russell Cowell for contact with another car. So there's only currently 7 DPs running at the moment as it stands.
Sharman and Anfield are both in the pits taking fuel. Sharman's just getting dropped back to his wheels again. I'm not entirely sure Dylan Sharman's one is planned at the minute. We're just going to find out a little bit later.
Yeah, it's quite a lead though with Mark Muckey in the 2nd place in the Cadillacs. You think it was nearly a lap, so if there is any damage that she can fix, it could be fixed now because it's got the time.
It's been about damage to be fixed. Well, Patrice Langlet is in the pits. He's obviously got quite a bit of damage as well, so it's going to take him a while to get all his required repairs done, I should imagine.
Indeed, Langlett's one of the drivers who's struggled a bit at times today, coming down to the closing sections of this race. I think the concentration levels of these drivers, you cannot underestimate it. They've been going now for for over an hour and a half, and they've got half an hour left to go. I don't know if any of you watching at home think this is easy. iRacing, it's not easy at all. It's quite physical at times, and driving for an hour and a half, 2 hours at a time on this is definitely not as easy as you may think.
Yeah, especially at 7 AM in the morning, sort of 5, 6, 7 AM in the morning, like Jason Sully and Dylan Sharman are. Tip my hat to those guys.
Indeed, the Australian Legion. Quite the Australians are actually quite on iRacing one of the better regions that we have on iRacing.
Yeah, well, they're always good. Pretty good at sports. I would say they're normally mainlined by Castlemaine, but that might get me in trouble. I think we've been watching Roop Turka just dealing with 3 classes all around him, and he's just coming up to Sean Mayers now. He kindly moves over and lets him pass. For a multi-class racing, this track, these cars, this is a busy race.
Very, very busy, and apparently the Australians are powered by Foster's, so they'll be alright. Although I wouldn't say Foster's was my choice of drink, but they're Australian, so I'm sure they'll enjoy it. But for Dylan Sharman, I think even though it's 7, 8 in the morning when he finishes this race, I think he will be deserving of a jar or two of Foster's if he can carry on with the lead.
Right, now I reckon this race is going to last 75 laps. That's what I worked it out as. We're currently on, I think we're on our 64th lap in a minute.
Yeah, we're on lap 64 now with the 2 leaders. That means we've got 11 laps to go.
Now that Martini Riley Daytona prototype visual gap looks a lot less than the 3 seconds is displayed on my board, and he's just, you know what, Matthew Labby just really can't get away from him at the minute.
No, and also the once everything's filtered out, Sandra Van der Peer 14 seconds behind them, and he's 12 seconds behind Jason Scully. He's been pretty much the same for the last 10-20 laps or so, really. He's been there or thereabouts, but he's never really had the speed or pace.
He's just, talking about speed and pace, he's just set as fast as lap 125.152, so that 48 second gap, when these 2 guys came into the pits, he's now, because obviously Sander took a very early pit stop in that sequence, he's now 14 seconds behind, so what a lap from that last lap.
What a lap indeed. It's been a late charge from Sander Van der Peer to try and get to the lead. It's in fact it's the 3rd fastest lap overall in the DP field, so that is the 3rd fastest lap of the race for Sander Van der Peer. So despite the fact we're so long into the race, he's certainly not given up, and he's going for it now because he's got Jason Scully. We'll see what the gap is now. It's another quick lap. So he's closing up to Jason Scully. He's 14.1 behind Messiah Levy as well. He needs to be a bit quicker, but as far as the 4 GTs go, Peter Keeler is still leading that class. How far behind him is Eduardo Prado? Eduardo Prado is probably about 10 seconds behind, I'd say. There's a couple of corners now between them, which there wasn't earlier in the race. They're quite close, but I think Rupe, one of those aliens with techers we were talking about earlier, has managed to pull out himself a bit of a gap now. So,
oh, Rupe, we just seen it spin down at the last chicane. The Jackie X chicane saved it, probably by the 2-foot magic hack save. Just got himself, luckily there's no one near him to really sort of react to that, so he's got himself away nice and cleanly. He's probably going to drive it quite safe the next few corners. Make sure his tyres cool back down, because he does have another corner which he's just coming out from now, and that's the one that he's got to really, you put a lot of torque down to get out of that corner, so you just got to be very careful.
The battle for 3rd and 4 GTs between Thomas Stockman and Eric Vidorf is still going on. They've been quite close for the last few laps. At the moment, it is Stockman who has that position in 3rd. As the DP coming up to the inside of him now, that looks like Sasha Krager. Yep, the number 33 of Sasha Krager is currently weighing 5th in class in the DP, so he just passed Thomas Stockman's. And Eric Vidorf and these 4 GTs are currently running 3 laps down on our race leader Matteo Laivi. As we look now at Vidorf coming down through the Jackie X corner to finish off the lap down the straight, and the gap between those two is probably no more than about a second. between Thomas Stockmans and Vidorf.
Well, they fixed up his car again. They fixed up that Riley of Scher. The front's a little bit pulled out. His in-lap, his actual pit lap was a 2:04 as well, so about the same as all the other Rileys that have been going around. But that battle behind him looks absolutely like it's going to be a belter.
Has been a belter for the last few laps. Where's Corey Davis compared to this? Because he was in a position before where, in fact, it could be a three-way battle, you know, because Corey Davis, you'll be able to see them as he comes around the corner on the straight. Yeah, you can see them now. So Corey Davis wants to join in this little battle between Thomas Stockmans and Eric Vidorf. It'd be interesting to see if he can get there. And Dylan Sharman still leading the Cadillac field, the number 91. Mark Mucky in second place. We spoke earlier about Mucky, about how well he's done, and he's still keeping that up. He's in second place. There, we've got Nicholas Randolph currently third in the class. And in fourth place is Stefan Coppins, who's about to be lapped by Nicholas Randolph, who's third in the class. So it looks like, unless there's any major issues, that the top three in the Cadillac field is almost pretty much set in stone at the moment.
Right, talking about set in stone, we've got a chap who sat in a pit lane, very, very still. It looks like he's having a little bit of repairs. Mr. Egil Sandfield has joined us in the booth. Welcome, Egil.
Hello guys, thanks for letting me be here.
It's Sandfeld, isn't it? I butchered your name again.
Yeah, just pronounce it like an eagle and then Sandfeld. That's cool.
Fantastic. And you have been soaring like an eagle today, except for the damage that made you pit. Tell us all about it.
Well, I was going down to the final corner and I looked at the relative button and I saw that there was about 1.3 seconds down to the guy behind me. I knew he was Riley, and then all of a sudden I get a giant bump from behind, and I did not go into the pit lane at first because I thought, as stupid as it was, that I did not take any damage, but yeah, I did. It's about 17 minutes of repairs, and my wheel is rotated about 180 compared to what it is in the iRacing simulator.
So really that helps you in some corners but not in others?
Yeah.
Okay, so how long's left in repairs at the moment? How busy are you keeping your little pit man?
Well, actually I don't know because I returned to Windows to chat with you guys, but I can see it on my wheel that it's shaking all the time. So I guess when that's done, I'm ready to go again, but it's about 6-7 minutes.
And you're here till the death now, yeah?
Oh yeah, it's on.
Good boy, good boy. But overall, you're enjoying the Zolder 300 kilometers.
Well, Jacob has done an extraordinary job at creating this series. This is my first event, but it's really, really great to have him and to have him doing the marshalling job as well. I think it's really, really nice to have that aspect as well. And
will you be turning out for the was it? I think it's the North Hampshire Speedway, isn't it? In a few weeks' time.
Yeah, maybe. It depends on many things, but I like this series, but I don't know if I'm going to do something else. I would love to join though.
Well, fantastic. Okay then. So, well, good luck for the rest of the race. You're still on the same lap, or you were on the same lap as Anders Dahl as well, so there might be some racing out there for you.
Yeah, we talked about that. That would be fun to the end. Thanks for broadcasting this, guys.
Okay, well, take care. That was Egil Sandfeld, who has had some shenanigans today. We are watching the epic battle between Thomas Stockmans and Eric Vidorf for the C2 on our screens, and it's no change of position just yet, Dan.
No, not of yet, but while you was chatting with Eagle, Matthias Lave and Jason Scully, the gap fluctuated up to 4.1 seconds, but now it's come down to 2.6. The Sander van der Pierre 125.045 was the fastest lap of the race a few laps ago. So Sander on a charge with the fastest lap of the race coming to the conclusion of it. As you were talking about that battle between Stockmans and Vidorf, it's still Stockmans, but Vidorf was right behind him and he snapped a bit loose there coming out the first turn, and that's going to cost him a bit of time there to Thomas Stockmans. So Eric Vidorf was as close as I've seen him for a while, but just that little bit of an error going through turn one, the back end sliding out, It's probably cost him about half a second, so all that hard work he's going to have to try and get back together again.
Well, I think it's time to maybe just go on the roll bar of Eric Vadoff and see how he's going on.
Takes a nice bit of curve there coming out of the chicane as they come downhill down the sweeping Hastang corner towards Villeneuve. This is the corner where in 1982 Joel Villeneuve was tragically killed, and it's been named in his honour. And as they go past there on the right hand side, there is a plaque which has been put into iRacing, it looks like there. So that's very, very good of iRacing to put that in there. As they come down now towards Borderberg now, and Weidorf is still catching up to Stockman's a little bit, but as they come now to that's the Jochen Kink. As they come down towards Jackie X, we probably, how many more laps they got to sort this out? Because as my colleague Rob Sutherland said, he reckoned there'd be 75 laps. But as they're on lap 7, they're just coming up to start lap 67 now, but our leaders, who are the ones which will end the race of course, are now on coming up to start lap number 70, so not long left to go now for Matteo Labi. The gap between him and Jason Scully, 4.7, with 10 seconds back to Sander van der Peer, who's come traffic in front of him as a Cadillac and a Ford GT as he comes round Boulderberg. Fourth place in our DPs is Ralph Gutso. Fifth place is Sasha Craig, and how far behind Sasha? He's still quite way behind Ralph, so the fourth and fifth place battle doesn't look like it's going to happen as Sasha goes past Stefan Coppins in the easily recognisable TFR car, which is one which is seen on Tuesday nights on GlacierTV in the TFR Touring Car Championship.
Well, you know what, all of that stuff, absolutely epic, but I'm absolutely enthralled at the moment in car with Eric Vadoff on his roll bar. This circuit, all the undulations, all the dips, you're constantly looking for brake marker, you're constantly looking for your brake markers. On the left you've got a little white 100 metres sign up there, and you've got to come around, there's an apex on the right that you've got to see, dips down just a little bit, you want to pull it around, but you just want to make sure you don't put the foot down too much, it'll spin you up and kick you out. And this is such a good circuit. I'm home, I'm watching this, that's fantastic. I've been throwing cars around this all week, I just love Zolder.
I thought you might have put in a cheeky entry for this event.
I did, and I was terrible, so I'm here instead.
In the car
and look at that first corner, you just got that little plate of concrete there, just inside the curve. That's your apex, you just want to get a wheel over that, but you got very, very close to Stockman's there now. And you can see where Stockman's is bleeding time, and Eric Vadoff's using a lot of discipline just to try and make sure he doesn't get sucked into just putting that foot down a little bit too early and kicking his car out.
Indeed, that is the case. I've been reliably informed that you were throwing the car off track in practice, Rob, so maybe it's best you're in our commentary booth.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. I was. The good thing about what Jacob Desmarais does with Targas is all week he'll run 2 or 3 practice sessions, and those practice sessions basically just mean that everyone get on track. They get like 6 hours each practice session just to get all their setup sorted out, and sort of get used to it really, and then they'll take the fastest times those practice sessions, and then they'll go, right, you've qualified, and then all the fastest guys are here, and the ones that aren't fast, they're either in a commentary booth or they're watching.
Indeed. Matteo Labi, 4.4 seconds in front of Jason Scully in front of the DP, so after having Matteo has a very, very ragged 10 minutes or so, didn't he, early in the race. Seems to have calmed down again now, and 2011 Virginia winner, as we said earlier, looks set for a second one. Eric Vadoff coming into the pits in that Ford GT, so that battle we were watching earlier has been neutralised by a pit stop for Eric Vadoff right in the closing stages of this race.
And Anders Dahl is in pits as well, and I think, if I remember, Anders might be Egil Sandfeld's partner, as a team partner as well, so these guys are 3 laps apart from each other now. I just wonder whether Anders will let Eric catch up just so they can have a bit of a ding-dong. Certainly at the end of the race you might see these guys fly in formation.
Egil Sandfeld's back on the track now, so not long after being in our commentary box, Egil is back on the track. He's currently 18 laps down, but in the true spirit of Targa, he's carried on going. It's great to see that he's, instead of packing it in for the day, he's going to go out and finish the race. That's what we like to see.
And Vadoff is out as well, and a lap down from Eric Vadoff, but just coming around corner number 1 is Corey Davis, points leader at the minute. So I wonder if he will be able to get past Eric and just unlap himself.
That'd be quite an interesting one to see. And also in the 4GTs, we haven't spoke about them for a while, but Rupu Tequila is the man who is in the lead of that 4GT race, with Eduardo Prado still in second place in the 4GTs, with Thomas Stockman's in third place, Eric Vidal fourth, Corey Davis fifth, and despite all of his issues during the race, Patrice Langley is actually going to come away from this with a point. As we look at the leader, Matthias Labe has got a 5.5 second gap the last time they came across the line to Jason Scully, as he comes across now to complete what is going to be lap number 74 for him. Coming on to the 74th lap, so your estimation of 75 laps isn't going to be too far away actually for this race. They're on lap 74 now, and how much have they got left? About 10 minutes, I reckon.
Yeah, it just shows you how much quicker they are than me, because I worked it out from my timing. Quite ashamed of that. But still, we've just seen Labe pass. As he just kicks out a bit of dust. He just passed second place in the Cadillac's Mark Mucky, who's had a very, very productive race.
Indeed, it's one of the unsung heroes, really, Mark Mucky, and he's getting plenty of feedback today from us, because he has really done well in that Cadillac class. It can't be easy with DPs flying and 4GTs all around you, but he's kept his composure, done well, and he's going to get his reward of second place. Dylan Sharman has been a completely different class out at the front of that Cadillac field. It just seems like he's doing it automatically as such. He's on autopilot. As we've been told, there's about 12 minutes left of this race, so we've got about 12 minutes left of it.
Yep, and then we've got to wait for the leader to cross the line before we see if they're on their last lap or not. This leader's just got the last corner now, starting this 75th lap. And I wonder if we're going to have anyone run out of fuel today.
Oh,
and I can see actually Sean Mayer's in the pits again, and also John Curran as well is just leaving the pit lane.
We've already seen Sasha Craig went out of fuel today, so you wouldn't be the first one. That was quite bizarre, really, early in the race for him to run out of fuel. Not the sort of thing you'd really expect early in the race. You'd probably maybe later in the race pushing it, but I thought that was one of the more bizarre moments of the race to be for sure.
It just shows you how hard he was really pushing it. See if we can just find some battles on the field. There's about 10 seconds between Sully and Sander. I think we talked about that already. Let's see how they're lapping. 126.7 from Jason was the last lap. Last lap was a 125.2 from Sander. He is absolutely on it.
I think he's left it a bit too late, unfortunately, but he's got to get space on the podium nonetheless. So he's still a place for Sander Van der Perth. I think he put the way he is, because Ralph Gutso in fourth is the... It's quite amazing that we, out of a 2-hour race, we still have 3 cars on the same lap. So these top 3 really have the class of the field. They're only 15 seconds apart, and the rest of the field haven't been able to really keep up with them, it doesn't seem, today.
But then we would have had, I think we would have had Sasha and certainly John Paquin on the same lap as well, and certainly Russell Kay before he had his little moment very early on in the race, 64 laps ago.
That was a big blow actually, the race with Russell Kay going out, because I think he would have given some competition as well at the front of that DP field, but a bit of indecision cost him majorly with his black flag, and he's had I think it was his Targa debut, and he's learnt the hard way about the way that things work in the series.
Yep, but I think he was impressed, and I've got a funny feeling he will be back for the next round. And I'll get the old the diagram up. Actually, we'll tell you when the next round is. The next round is the New Englander. That's someone in November. Date is to be announced, so feel free to stay on the iRacing forums, because I'm sure it'll be announced then.
Yeah, the gap between...
Then after, actually, sorry Dan, I'll tell you after that is the 2012 Targa Virginia. And if anyone's seen that before, so they did one in 2011, and it was absolutely manic. So that's going to be a really cracking event, and that's on the 16th of December, a 3-hour race.
think Jason Scully had a very slow last lap. Have a look now because he's gap
Yep.
between him and Matteo Labi has come down. Has come up on me, and the gap between him and Sando indeed at 129.1. So Jason Scully there, a lot slower than the rest of them on that lap. So it'd be interesting to see if that's a problem for him or if he's just had a bit of traffic or that, because he's not long to go now. 8 seconds. It's not. It could anything could happen really at the end of this race.
Yep, so we're looking at 16 seconds behind the leader, San van der Hel, 125.4. He's easily the fastest car on the circuit at the minute. Jason Sully 7.5 seconds behind Matthew now. Has he left it too late? Yeah, he has. That's such a shame though, because he's really pushing it.
Yeah, it's a very big shame because he could have had a bit of a battle for the lead maybe if he kept on doing it a bit earlier, because he's certainly one of the fastest cars on the track. He set the fastest lap of the race as we were told earlier, 125.0, so he had the pace in the car. It's just he's not been able to maintain it for the whole race, and it cost him really, because with the fastest lap of the race, it definitely showed that he could run out the front.
Right. I've just noticed someone we've not actually mentioned all race, and that's a chap in the 4GT called Jarrett Lawson, car number 26. He's actually, this completely missed me by. He retired absolutely donkeys ago. We know Jarrett from the Continental Sports Car Series, a very fast MX-5 driver. So that's a shame for him. He just finished. He's classified 9th at the minute. Florinitz has also retired, and Jeffrey Tanger retired as well. They were very early on, and Randy Chenalth has retired. But I think Sean Mayer is still circulating. So he's 7th. 6th was Patrick Langlet. 5th is Corey Davis. 4th, Eric Valoff. 3rd, Thomas Stockmans. 2nd is Eduardo Prado. In 1st position, Rupi Tukle, as he's been all of the race long.
Spin for Thomas Stockmans. We've been informed that he's had a spin. So that is the 3rd place car in the 4GTs having a bit of a spin, but it's not going to affect his position because Out of Vidorf, of course, had a pit stop. So bit of a shame there for Out of Vidorf that he's had to come into the pits, because Thomas Stockmans could have gifted him in 3rd position if he was there or thereabouts.
I think the best person to keep up with at the moment is San Van Peer at the moment. That's the number 11 car, because he's still charged. He's just come up to put a lap up on Ralph Kutcher's as well. But apart from that, he's got quite a lot of space to really catch up. He's about 6 seconds behind Jason Scully at the minute.
Stockmans has got damage, we've been informed, from the paddock, so for the last few laps Thomas Stockmans is going to have to put up with a bit of damage. But
we were notified that because one of the guys racing, or has been racing, Tim Martins, is on Skype to him at the moment while he's driving, so God bless the information age.
It's a car radio, a different sort. But as you're saying about Sando, he's definitely the fastest car on the track at the moment, and that gap, which was 15 seconds a few laps ago, is down to 10.8, and let's see if he's going to lower it this time. The DP's gone right to the inside, the slower one, and it's 11.6, so he's lost some time actually on that last lap. But Sando's definitely the fastest car on track at the moment. The DP takes to the gravel to get out of his way. So that is, and we got a report there may be a car in the wall somewhere, and Stockmans has come into the pits, so the damage for Thomas Stockmans has seen him come into the pits.
I think that may have been Ralph. He just tapped the wall slightly on the outside. Doesn't appear to be much damage, but I had a look round and I couldn't find anyone in the pits. Saying that, Stefan Coppins has disconnected. I don't know if that's connection or if he's intentionally disconnected, but that's a terrible blow for Stefan, who was running 4th in Cadillacs.
That's a shame, but I think he'll still be classified as 4th in the Cadillacs because he's got 4 laps between him and John Kuhneman. I'm not sure what the rules are for this championship. He'll still be classified as being a 4th if he hasn't finished the race. But Stefan Coppins, retires. He's disconnected anyway, so it's not looking good for him for finishing the race. But someone who it is looking, we've been told from race control he will still get the points for that. So Stefan Coppins will still get his 4th place points if he keeps it up. But Matteo Alabi coming across the line now with about 1 hour and 55 minutes of racing. So we've got about 5 minutes to go. So I reckon we've got about 3 or 4 laps left of this here.
Yep, and it's winding itself down very slowly. We're going to be watching the leader, I think, all the way in unless we see any real developments. And the leader currently is Matthew Labe. and he is catching Chuck Johnson, who's right up behind the second place Eduardo Prado in 4GT.
Chuck Johnson, someone, if any of the 6 in front of him in his class have any issues, could claim points because there's 2 laps between him and the rest on normal time, but if anything else happens, he might get himself into the points, which would be good for Chuck Johnson. He's kept racing for the duration of this race. But as we look at Matteo Larbi coming down into the Düsseldorf session, that is, I think is that out of Weidorf? No, it's not out of Weidorf. It's the second place for GT of Eduardo Prado, who our leader's coming up to now at the Jackie X corner. He's been very wary of the G4 GT, so he's going to have him on the straight, which is probably the better thing to do.
It was, yeah, absolutely right. It was Eduardo really did chuck it into that chicane then, didn't he?
Indeed, and that's not the sort of thing that Matteo Larbi really wants to be seeing in front of him when he's literally about 2 laps away from taking victory in this Targa 300km of Zolder. And the fact the gap to Jason Scully's come right down to 1.9 seconds.
And it's extended as well because Jason came through corner number 1 and massive slide, managed to save it.
Swings and roundabouts for the timing at the top, because Scully, as they cross the line, was 1.9, but as Rob just said, the mistake on turn 1, I've seen it come out again, and Sandra van der Peer can actually see them on the same straight as Jason Scully, as the gap between him and the leader's now down to 9 seconds. So we really have been denied, I think, a good finish from Sandra van der Peer, catching up on the leaders. If he just did it maybe a few laps too soon, we could have seen it, but it's been a good fight back from him. He was about 20 seconds back at one point, and now it's 9 seconds. But I think it's going to be too late for him to gain a position, because I think we've probably got about 2 laps to go of this race, as Matteo Larbi goes past the car of Chuck Johnson, the number 87, to put him a 4th lap down in this race.
Eduardo Prado's let past Jason Sully as well, but it's cost Sully a lot of time. I don't want to curse anyone, Blake. Sorry, Dan, I don't want to rude of me to call you by your second name. You got 2 first names, and when I've told you that, it's very, very bad. Don't want to curse anyone, however, I think Matthew does have this sewn up. It looks like Chuck's riding his wingman.
I think the second place battle, though, might not be over, because Scully's got it down to 4 seconds. Well, Van der Peer to Scully's down to 4 seconds. It all depends on when he catches the traffic. And question coming in for Rob: how does Southampton do at the weekend?
Yeah, let's not talk about
it. Can't talk about Bristol City either, so we'll move swiftly on from football.
No, we'll go back to driving techers, and Sander now has Eduardo Prado in front of him.
Yep, so Sander does have the Ford GT in front of him as they come down to the break-in point, and be hoping he doesn't leave too much time behind that Ford GT. This could be quite... I think he'll leave too much time, actually, because there's a straight bit here. And there's been report that a car...
Yeah, Chuck cut the chicane. I think it was the Jules Villeneuve one, and just came back on. I thought the slowdown might affect Jason Sully and really give Jason the decision make, but it appears that instead of doing like a really slow down, Chuck just rolled it over, and I think the win has gone to Matthew Labbe.
Is that the checkered flag?
That's the checkered flag. So the winner of the Zolder 300km goes to Matthew Labbe.
And second place is Jason Scully. He's under pressure at the end from Sander van der Peer, but just left it a little bit too little too late. But that is the second race that Matteo Larbi has big races won, because he won the 2011 Virginia, and now he cuts the 300km of Zolder to that. And 4th place we have Rolf Gilso. 5th place is going to be Sasha Craig coming across the line now in our DP field, with the 6th place and final point going to Michael Schneider, and in the DP 7th is going to be Chuck Johnson. As far as our Ford GT field goes, Rupe Tequila is going to cross the line now to take victory. A fantastic race from him. I don't think he's made made one small mistake in the whole race. Fantastic driving from him. And Eduardo Prado is going to take second place in the 4GTs. Eric Vidorf comes across to take third place. Fourth place is going to be Corey Davis, and that's a move from Thomas Stockman, the one which, or the damage is going to put him into fifth place in class. So Stockman's dropped down past Vidorf and Davis to come past him, so he's fifth in class. And in sixth place is going to be Patrice Langlet, who's going to get himself a point from this race, which some may have said earlier in the race would have been a bit far-fetched, but he's sixth. And the last 4GT on the track, 21 laps down, he's going to finish 21st overall, is Sean Mayer. In the Cadillac field, it is the Australian wonder Dylan Sharman who's going to take the victory in that one. Second place is Nicholas Randolph, who's overtaken Mark Muckey somewhere on the track where we didn't see it, but Mark Muckey, fantastic podium for him. And then there's 5 laps before we get to the next car, which is John Kuhneman, who's fourth in class. Fifth place is Stefan Coppins, though despite him retiring, he's going to finish in fifth place in class and getting 2 points. And the final point is Valerio Chieti in the Cadillacs. And we're looking at the formation lap, which Rob Sutherland has said seems to be quite eventful, and he loves it.
Yeah, it's great. Everyone just has a nice little chill out, form up, roll rounds, take it all in. The fact that you've just done 2 hours around Zolder, where every corner wants to meatball your car and throw you off.
Indeed, 2 hours. It's actually gone a bit quicker than I thought it would, to be honest. 2 hours is probably one of the longest races I've commentated on iRacing, and yeah, it's a very good 2 hours with some good racing, especially the first 20-30 minutes are absolutely fraught. We're looking for replay after replay. We just didn't have time to show them because there was so much going on.
Dan, we've got to speak very, very quietly. There's a very, very tired Australian in the channel.
Okay,
Yeah,
Rob.
he goes.
Right, well, while I go and get my cup of tea ready, I'll let Dan interview everyone.
Okay, so we're here with the Cadillac race winner, Dylan Sharman. Dylan, what time is it over there now in Australia?
It's currently 6:45, so going on a solid 24 hours awake.
So you've pulled an all-nighter and still managed to pull out a victory. That's quite commendable. How was your race?
Yeah, I was going to plan. I qualified on pole, and the start of the race was going good. Got about halfway through my first stint, and then one of the DPs was trying to lap me and decided that he'd drive basically straight through the rear end of my car, so had a meatball, but got it fixed and just had to go to a 3-stopper as well, so then just had to flog the shit out of the car for the next 70 odd laps. But yeah, no, it was good fun.
Despite all that, you still managed to finish a lap in front of your next competitor. So it just shows that even with that setback, you still managed to dominate the race today.
Yeah, for sure. I think as well when when I came in, I got most of the repairs done and went out again, and then sort of tried to lap and go as hard as I can, and I got so many. Lucky this wasn't an official race because I got so many 1Xs through that second chicane. So.
Congratulations on your victory today in the Cadillac class.
Cheers, man, and thanks guys for broadcasting the event.
That was Dylan Sharman, the winner of the Cadillac class today. This is the 300km of Zolder live on GlacierTV. We've had the race in action today. It's finished with Matteo Labe taking the lead in the DP class, with Jason Scully in second. Third place is Sander van der Peer. Fourth was Ralph Gutso. Fifth, Sasha Krieger. Sixth, Michael Schneider. And seventh, and the last DP to finish, Chuck Johnson. So there were only 7 of those who took the line. In the 4GTs, it was Roop Tequila with the victory there from Eduardo Prado. Eric Vidorf takes third place, with Corey Davis fourth, Thomas Stockman's fifth, and Patrice Langlet taking the final position there in sixth place in the points, with Sean Meyer seventh, and he was the last one to across the line. We have Dylan Sharman, who we just spoke to, taking the Cadillac victory, with Nicholas Randolph second, Mark Mucky third, John Kuhneman is in fourth, with Stefan Coppins fifth, Valerio Chieti sixth, and Anders Dahl seventh, with Igor Sandfeld in eighth place.
Dan,
Hello.
may we breach the subject of, if you haven't already, because I did disconnect, of Drive of the Day?
I haven't done Drive of the Day yet. What are your thoughts on that? I think there's quite a few candidates, to be honest.
Well, we'll ask everyone because we're fair. I've got to say, I'll go straight out there now, and this is not because he has been in the channel and he's left. I did miss most of his interview. I will say Dylan Sharman, 7 a.m. with honourable mention to Jason Scully.
I think I'll go with that as well. I think Dylan Sharman, he definitely dominated the Cadillac field, and that was with the pit stop as well. If he hadn't had to make the pit stop and repair damage, he could have been a lot more emphatic than the one lap lead he had. And yeah, Jason Scully I think is also worthy of a mention because it's probably his best result of the season, the second place, and also it's just quite an interesting stat. Rupe Tequila, the leader and the winner from our Ford GT in the whole race, only had 5 incident points.
Well,
So
let's not let the guy who made that comment get away with it. Series director, I don't know how impartial you need to be, but Jacob, who's your driver of the day?
Well, I guess I'd have to go with Rupe for having the least amount of incidents, but I'm gonna stick with Mark Mucky. He definitely just didn't put a foot wrong the whole time, and I know he's not always the quickest guy, but to finish third in class, especially racing against people like Dylan, that's a really awesome result.
Fantastic. Okay, and we've got one more person we've not actually talked to today, and he's muted at the moment, so please unmute yourself, sir. Is our guy who's been spotting all day, and very, very, very busy chap. But Mr. Rob Cuss, welcome. Who was your driver of the day?
You know what? I'm going to have to go with the third place man. Pierre.
Pierre.
Yes.
Well, okay, that was it then. So that's all of our driver of the days, and all that's left now is for Mr. Blake to wrap it up.
Indeed, I'd like to thank you all for staying tuned with us for what has been the Targa 300km of Zolder. I know we had a few problems earlier, but we've overcame them, and I hope you enjoyed our broadcast. So, for me, Dan Blake, and Rob Sutherland in the commentary box, it's goodbye for now. Also, a big thank you to Jarno for directing for us, and for Rob Cuss for spotting, and for Jacob for being the race director. It's been I've enjoyed having the race direction, so we've actually got a bit of a clue about what we're talking about at times. So thank you very much, and for me, it's good night from Huddersfield.